How's it going today, guys? So today we are back at it with the KD175. So you can see it's now inside. And my problem that I had in the last video was it was leaking. I couldn't quite tell where it was because I had the clutch cover on. I couldn't hear it anywhere. Anyways, it's inside now. I bought a, I don't know if that's the correct part number or not. Ooh, you can see it. This is for a lower, I believe it's a lower radiator hose. Maybe it's an upper radiator hose for a Ford 9N. And it fits okay. So I'm going to trim it real quick. Hopefully, these, you can see. We'll, they don't quite fit all the way, but we can make do. All right. Let's slip a hose on. This is basically just my adapter because this is tight enough. I'm hoping it'll hold a seal. Surely I got a screwdriver that will work. Oh, I do. I just have to find it. Okay, here we are. Oop. That feels like it's snug. Last but not least, we'll put the pressure gauge on. Maybe, just maybe, I can get this. There we go. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the stupid hose clamp. Make more sense to put that on. I'll back it off since I know it's going to be almost impossible to put on here in a second. Hopefully it'll... Okay, and let's go on. Loosen up just enough. Okay, maybe from that side. Maybe we aren't going to be as tight as I'd hoped here. This may not be as easy as I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, let's snug up this one side. I'll loosen this side, see if I can shove it on some. Now, the only surface I have to mount on is this, because this is kind of tapered. Maybe I can get lucky here and just try to... I'm going to soak this all up, so we'll actually see if it does hold. Watch your fingers, fellas and gals. Alright, pressure gauge on. I got a different pump today. I think this one will walk on. I think the other one walks on too. How it works, I don't remember. Okay. Let's figure out where we're leaking from. Step one. Yep, found it. This pump does not pump as easy as I'd hoped. Okay, if I turn the motor over, now, this is not an ideal situation here. Should be able to hear what we're looking for. See. Okay. Oh, you know why? Because it's just probably pulling past that O-ring. Okay. Is it coming past down here? I'm not quite sure where I'm leaking from. Oh, Genie Christmas, bud. Genie Christmas. Someone forgot to plug the exhaust port. There we go. Okay. Sounds like it's coming from... Let's try this again. Okay, so I think I found out what's going on. I think it's coming from here, which is something that a lot of people do say you need to get rid of. So I'm going to pump it up, see if you guys can hear it. I'm going to change positions here and see if I can actually hear. So I actually figured out what the hissing noise was. This drain port, which I don't know if I have the side cover in here for that or not. I do. What does that drain into? Oh, it's leaking all over the place. Okay. Port there that goes out to this. So that port goes to that sump plate that's down here. Now, if you're about ready to witness some real magic here. Turn this. I got so much stuff up here. Alright. You can see the gauge. You can see the port. Not really, because the hose is in the way. Let me you can see the finger, you can't see the port over here, but you know I have to shut that to keep pressure, because otherwise it just pushes back. So I'm going to take, well, you can already see the bubble forming down here. Now, if I pump up the air, I can actually seal it. Now, is that because this vacuum cap is on here? Which I had originally put the vacuum cap on there to keep junk out. Nope, that's our actual problem. It's this front port. This whole time, that front port. All the times I've taken this motor apart, that's really irritating. Or is this actually supposed to release pressure? Do I have another issue? I don't think that's supposed to push pressure back. I think I do have, oop, I have my head on the camera. I think there's supposed to be something there. I need to do some research. I need to look into the book, but it looks like that I could hold pressure. And I think it would hold pressure indefinitely if I sealed these couple plugs. So, now I need to do some research and figure out what is going on here, because I think there's supposed to be a ball bearing in here, or check valve, and I'm beginning to wonder if it's not in there. That would solve that issue for this pressure. If I could get that fixed, then I'll, rule that portion out and go to the next issue. Is it this problem down here, the system they have set up there for the crank? I don't know if it's crankcase ventilation or what quite it is, but I know it's supposed to help relieve some of the oil issue of sucking it out and removing the excess oil from the thing. So let us do some research and come back to it. Now I did a little research, wherever you want to say it. And for the manual, it does say down here, if the drainage passage from the right side to the pump is clogged, no, that's not it. If the drain pump diaphragm is torn and ruptured, it can suck air into the crankcase. The upset engine field air, blah, blah, blah. The inner O-ring on the pump body must seal properly, or the crankcase may suck air from the crosshole from the right engine cover. Well, that's kind of what we're having issues with right now, because it is actually pushing air here. So that's telling me if I'm pressurizing the crankcase, it is pushing the air out here. It, in theory, should push the air out here. So this system is basically on there to, if you got water in here, it would basically, water or mud, it would not get sucked into the carburetor, but it would rather get sucked out through the little drainage system it has in the bottom of this right-hand crankcase cover, and push it on out here, or just suck it up into that container, so that it doesn't get sucked up into the engine and cause you more issues. So you don't have to worry about, since that makes this a complete sealed system. So I'm going to pull this out and kind of see what we got for O-rings, because I'm going to have to buy them, because I kind of looked on Partzilla. I haven't looked on Rocky Mountain ATV, but I'm guessing they don't have the O-rings listed, as Partzilla doesn't have the O-rings listed. So let's pull it out and kind of see what we got. So here's what we got. It doesn't look too terribly bad. I could probably test it by putting a vacuum pump onto it. See if it sucks. It's kind of dirty in here. It does have some junk, so I'm not sure where that all is coming from. But I guess I'm going to pop these O-rings off, measure them, and kind of see what we got. There's some black junk in there. I looked in the hole. It had a lot of oil in it. Not surprising. But I'm guessing it's this seal here that is bad and causing me my issues. So, to Amazon it goes. I guess I could look in my stash of O-rings first. See what we got. See if we can fix this. Because it would be nice to get this bike actually running. Because to be honest, I've been working on this for several years. And it's kind of disheartening to be able to get it running. But in the end, not to get it running. So, worst case scenario, I'll buy a piece of aluminum, round stock, turn that down a lathe with these O-ring spacings, pop that in, and make a plate and probably TIG weld it to it, and then just call it a day with a block-off plate. So, let's see. So here we are. I got my O-ring kit. A little worried because these guys are chonky guys compared to the itty bitty guys I pulled off. Now I 3D printed this a while back and thought this would be handy to have. It's basically a O-ring measuring cone, and I 3D printed in different colors because, well, why not? Although it doesn't have a measurement on it, what it does may be stretched. I don't want that level. With that one, that's where it stops. I can measure it and get a good, solid idea of size. So we're coming out to 20, 2350 or so. Also works as a good comparison to this. Now I got these skinnier ones here. This one may work. That size may actually work. Do I run with it, see what happens? I begin to think I might try. At least like, oop, I lost my chair. Okay. Now, this on, give it a little lube, spit, whatever it needs to be. Oop, I don't know why I threw it down. That size is, not said on here. It's not marked. Oh, it is. It's R15. R15 is 7/8. I'm going to see if I can actually find these, and then I'll buy some so I can have it if this doesn't work. But if this works, I'll be very happy, because that saves me a lot of trouble. Leave that one out. Okay. Pull this guy up. You guys can't see this, that's fine. currently, there we go. Hopefully it doesn't slide out. That would suck. Currently, I got the bike upright. Do I got any oil up here? Let's see if I can set this so you can see it. There we go. I got it upright. Let me see if I can find some sort of lubricant. Tapping oil. I guess we'll have to use some tap magic on it. Better than nothing. Just something. Boy, that doesn't not want to go in now. I will tell you, these are a pain in the butt to get out. There we go. Okay, that is snug. We will put this back down, flip it over. Let's see if that port leaks again. We'll be able to hear it more or less. Come on now, I'm trying to wrangle this motor around. Hopefully you guys can still see. Yep. Put this back on. If you see all the beer cans, they are for a completely different project. I have not been drinking them. They're Old Milwaukee, and I was actually given those because of a bet. And I jokingly said, yeah, I'll take a pack of Old Milwaukee. And unfortunately, he did follow through and get them, and I would have been stuck with a 32-pack of Old Milwaukee for, I don't know. These expired May of, oh, I still got beer in it. Nope, it's water still. I've been washing these out May 10th of 2021, so if you don't believe me, I don't drink these. I got a plan with the cans, though. Got a plan. So hopefully it'll work out. We'll find out. Basically use it for some shim stock and some other goofy projects. Now that I got extra water in here. Well, we still are leaking out through this, so I'm guessing this pump is bad. But if I put this cap on, this cap is rock hard though for some reason. Okay, so the O-rings aren't going to help it. We're actually going to have to block that off. And I have done some reading on it. I just have to figure out what hole we actually need to block. So we will come back with some more research here. So I tried to do a little research and I printed this off, and this was on the Junkman's website, I think is the name. I'm sure if you just search the dreaded drain pump, you would find out, find the article I'm referring to, the blog. And he goes basically through and talks about the rationing behind it all and what's going on with it. And basically even gives a diagram. And if you don't have the owner's manual or a manual, this kind of shows you what the actual pump does. And you can kind of see this here. So it's kind of makes you curious, okay, so how to fix it. And he does give the remedy, and I believe that's what we're going to use. He says use RTV silicone to put in there. It gives you the same, that way you could just put that back in and it'll solve all your issues. And I was a little hesitant because sometimes RTV silicone does not mix with, it doesn't mix with the actual gasoline. But I was kind of confused because he just has a plug here. Well, is it this plug or just this in general? So I was curious which port it comes out. But I'm beginning to think, I wonder if both of these ports, obviously they both go into the crankshaft. So I kind of wonder if I could make a rubber gasket. If I measure the depth of this, which this obviously is ripped here, could be why that one wasn't working very good. This one is pretty tore up now. Huh. Maybe that's why it's not working. Either way, I need to plug this. And so I thought, well, actually after reviewing this, when I put pressure to it, it popped out of this hole here, the pressure. But you do have this hole here as well. So I wonder if I can just, that's very dirty in here. I'm going to clean this. That one almost, you could still see the machine marks in there, which is obvious that that's going to happen, but you can still see they had a little piece of metal caught up in there, and you can kind of see that, you know, when you get a dull drill bit, it leaves that spiral wound area. So I guess I'll clean this out and see if I can just fill this with some RTV. What kind of RTV do I have on hand? I'm not sure. Well, it looks like I'm going to be having to buy, I'm going to have to buy some because I realize I don't have what I'm looking for. And I don't necessarily want to JB weld this because I'd like to put this back in there. But I do want to clog those holes and see what happens. Beginning to wonder if my issues were actually these O-rings. Either way, this needs to be defeated, just so that way it doesn't cause us issues down the road. So I'm going to clean this, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'll have to order some, and then we'll see what happens. Alright, so I went ahead and ordered some Moto Seal gasket maker, which is fuel resistant. And what my plans to do here are I'm going to pull these O-rings off if I can. I'm going to have to replace them either way because these are all kind of bunged up. I'm going to, there we go. Oop. Or I may just put the original ones back in, although I don't know where they go. I ripped that one. So I can see in here, this clean line is obviously where the O-ring goes, and this one as well. Now the hard part's going to be is sticking some of this stuff up in here, but I know there's a gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little saran wrap on the bottom of this, and then stick this in that hole. That way I can remove it if I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little, I've previously cleaned that out. And I don't know that I'll show you what I'm doing, but I'll show you the after result. So I have a new problem. This gasket maker is very runny. It is not like normal RTV. It is a lot like Yamabond. So, trying to figure out what I want to do to plug these holes before I stick that sealant on there. So I have to think about it real quick. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to buy a hole punch, or a not a hole punch, but a leather punch or something, because this comes out to just over an inch, but you can see where it wears on there, and that is under an inch in there. It's like, if I guesstimate it, actually maybe we can get it like this. Yeah, we can. It's just under an inch. Maybe it is an inch, and it's about, the depth of it is 0.1. So if I could find a piece of rubber, I think what I'm going to do is stick the hole punch the rubber, stick it in there. Then I'll use this gasket maker to seal this. And I think that'll work. All right, so I bought a punch kit, and I got a sheet of neoprene. This piece is actually 0.093, which I think we were at 110 or something for the depth. Basically, my goal is to make a punch mark. My worry is this has a center deal in it. I'm not sure how to take it out. I think I just loosen this here. And oh, that is not it. I'm not actually sure what this guy does back here. Anyways, I'll thread this back together before I make a mess. I'm gonna give this a whack, and I'm just gonna put a little, put a thin layer on the bottom down here. Put that in the rubber washer I'm making, and then I'm going to put a thin layer on top around the edges just to make sure it seals, and then I'm just gonna let it sit, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully it'll seal it. If not, we'll go to a plain V, I guess. Make sure this is somewhat clean. Does it fit in the hole? That fits in pretty good. So let's go ahead and we will I'll put a glove on for this because I don't really trust this glue stuff. And you're still playing, so you're good. Now, there we go. I don't want it to get into the crankcase per se. Because I don't want it clogging stuff up. Granted, there's not much in the crank that it could clog up, but still. Alright, with any luck, I will have fixed it. I went ahead and took the styrofoam or the saran wrap out of there, put the original O-rings back in, and I'm going to give it a little push, and looks like it's leaking, but I'm not sure from where. I already put my soapy water up, so I'm gonna have to go get it. It could just be from where my finger is. I'm gonna get a new tip as well. Guess I could have regular, just straight water to see if this is. I mean, it's holding pretty good. So, but it could be from here, it could be from anywhere. So I guess I'll get the soapy water out and we'll see. May have to put new O-rings in that. Okay. Wasn't cold enough in the shed to freeze my bottle of soapy water. We got 9.5 inches of snow yesterday, which is kind of something big for our area. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to seal my finger here. Do this by putting a little grease. Now in this bottom corner, let's see if I can get it to where you can see it. There you go. I just put grease in there. I went ahead and also put a new vacuum cap on the pump itself. But I'm going to seal my finger up here with grease because I know that is a leak. That's the 2-stroke injection side of it. However, I went ahead and put some grease and completely covered this because if it pops out and releases, then I know we haven't quite sealed everything here. So, and I did squirt some soapy water around the top. So we're about ready to figure out where this grease is coming. Looks like it's probably coming from that. We're about 6 psi there. And we're losing some. Now if I poke a hole in this, curious to see if this is it. Or is it something up here? Or is it one of my other junctions, you know? Not that. Doesn't look like it's there. Back to 5 psi. We're losing pressure somewhere, very slowly. I'm not sure where. If I open this back up, doesn't look like it's this leaking anymore. As a matter of fact, that is sealed off, and with about 4 psi, you would think we would have something coming out of there. Not quite sure where I'm leaking from. It's such a small leak. Could be the hose down there. Is that back feed? You wouldn't think this is back feed. 6 psi. That's losing it somewhere again. Huh. Something with the gauge. Juni Christmas. This thing, I think it's cold enough that it is freezing inside of it. So it isn't squirting like it should. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can find a rubber plug for this. So it's kind of dark there. I got it set to a little over 5 psi. I've been spraying this thing down with water. You can see I got a plug there. Still have the grease shoved up in there, but I've also squirted soapy water in here, and I cannot, for the life of me, find the leak. I don't know if it's on the timing side. It might be through the exhaust. This isn't the best system. I need to get some really soapier water, I'm thinking, but it's just an ever so slight leak. You can see there, I've dropped half a pound in about a minute. So I'm not sure. Could be this here yet. I mean, I have knocked this over, so it's no longer sitting in here square. Maybe I'll loosen it up. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to release the pressure and loosen the... I think what I'm going to do, since I can't get this to seal very good anymore, and if I put it on by hand, it'll seal and hold a little bit better, but my issue is just this little lip. I can't catch that enough to seal it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the side cover back on and go back to using the carburetor inlet to test it. If it passes, great. If it doesn't, that gives me the ability to check elsewhere on the bike before I come back to this. So let's do that. All right, third time's the charm. Camera died 2 times on me. So here we go. So I put the cover back on. First thing I had issues with was it was pushing air back up through here. So I'm thinking the little check ball in here is probably shot. So I'm gonna have to get a new one of those. Okay. Next issue ran into. It is leaking from up in here. So my test equipment isn't quite on spot. Third big issue. This guy down here, as you can see, the red ooze, possibly. It popped that gasket in here, so I'm gonna have to glue this. Now, with that all being said, I'm gonna have to order parts, and I can actually take a little time because I tried to buy new O-rings for the actual pump in case something was to happen. I know I don't need them, but if something was to happen, actually I could glue this hole shut too. I may end up gluing this pump shot. I don't know that I'll ever rebuild it. One day I may, and then I'll regret gluing that shut, but I can re-drill it. I'm gonna JB weld that, and then hopefully that'll keep this from leaking. It's already sealed here. I don't know what my plans are. Anyways, I gotta kind of think about what I want to do, but I went ahead and I bought new O-rings. They're coming from China. It's December, I think 1st, maybe 2nd. They're not supposed to be here till the 27th. So I got plenty of time. I say that, but I say that every year. This is the 3rd year of me messing with this bike. I don't know if the crank is going to work. It's a little wonky, so yeah. I'm going to re-glue this, pull this out, look into a new fitting, and kind of go from there. So stay tuned, because let's keep going. I will say, I did buy a new forks for the bike, and I have dust covers coming. I need to buy my dust seals next paycheck, and hopefully we can rebuild some front forks for this, because mine are front wheels kind of cocked like this. So I'm going to kind of keep plugging along on this bike, and hopefully this over Christmas break I can rebuild and get everything back together and run this bike for once. Here we are, several weeks later. I've managed to catch a cold. It's Christmas Day, but I think I have a Christmas miracle. As I've pumped it up about 10 minutes ago, just a little over 5, and as you can see it's leaking, but we all know where it's leaking from now. I think I finally got it fixed. I'm stoked. Going forward, I think if it fails during the race and I end up having the same issue, I'll either JB weld those holes shut, or I'll tap them and run a aluminum insert in there and then JB weld it flush. Now, if I was really worried about the flooding issue, excuse me, which is what the pump is for, I could figure out a way to put a petcock down here or a tap. That way, if I do lay the bike over on the right side and it's dumping gas in here because the float's just, you know, hanging out, I could relieve the issue by opening the petcock down here, draining that fuel out, shutting it, and then firing the bike back up. I'm not super worried about it, and I'm not super worried about that because I don't drive through a lot of water, and I don't think in the race there is a, I can't say that because the first year it was flooded. And if I get it running, I'd like to race more than just that one race. I'd like to run some other vintage races. But I really think I finally got it fixed, which is awesome. Hopefully the crank holds out. I don't know if I got that squared away or not, but we're going to find out. So let's put it back together and see if we can fire it up.